Hey, Blade fans! Happy to be back with you once again. And also happy that I was able to get a hold of a review copy of this somewhat new, maybe it's a month old, I think, since it's been released by Rike. I think it made its appearance at one of the shows, maybe SHOT Show earlier this year, or perhaps a little later. All right. Well, I won't go on about when it was released or where it was released. I'm not a news person, so yeah, I can't tell you everything about everything. Anyway, Reich Knife, okay, and thank you, White Mountain, for the review copy. This is likely going back to them. Um, in a box, yes, and I think Reich has pretty much, along with a few other companies, but primarily Reich has really made production grail knives or uh, art knives, I would say, really a regular thing. There is a gold shiny sticker. There is how to contact Reich. And I believe it's Richard Wu, if I'm not incorrect. And he was also the designer of this knife. Great work, Richard. I've been collecting Reich knives for a number of years. I'd say close to 10 years, maybe 8 years. And this is another one I would definitely consider to be an art knife, a production art knife, as close to custom as you're going to get, and designs that you may absolutely love, or who knows, you might detest. Maybe that's not a knife. Well, this, I think, is a knife and a work of art. Look at this gorgeous titanium. It is integral all day long. Look at that. I have to say, the only thing I really don't care for on the Reich knives is, number one, the script font, because you can't read some of the model names or steel types, and the fact that they put that on the side of the frame instead of, I guess we're getting used to stuff being on the blade instead of the frame, but whatever. So before we're opening it up, we're just looking at all the amazing details of the exterior in this kind of, I think, was it Metal Complex was saying that it looked like a mechanical wasp. That's a good comparison. Um, Interesting. We got this going on here, like the Tissot that they also came out with. All right. So this is the only means to open it. This not thumb studs, but kind of a clamp over opening mechanism that's jimped underneath. And it looks like you want to put your thumb right in there, right? And have your thumb fit into that, but you're not going to open it that way. You got to get it out on the very edge, this sharp little edge. And, I'm complaining already, but it isn't going to be a knife you buy because it's fidgety. All right. You're just not. It's on bearings, but it is not very fidgety. You can depress the lock bar pretty easily. It's not what you'd call drop shut, but it's very smooth with the amount of tension that's on there. But you can see that it does not want to drop shut. But it's brand new out of the box, so things do break in. Refraining from using any oil or messing with the pivot, which happens to be T15. You heard me right, T15, not T8. Crazy, huh? These guys are T8, but there's going to be no reason to want to remove that, as far as I know, although it looks like that whole piece comes off of there. But if you know anything about integral knives, They do not come apart into halves, and it is challenging for the designer and the company to put things in like bearings and blades when you cannot disassemble the knife in half. And that's what you're paying for at about $450 from White Mountain. Yep, you heard me right. Closer to 500, I think, like 480 if you get the DLC version, which is quite nice with gold pivots. But nice matching pivots on either side, the only difference being the torques there. You can get rid of the flipper tab, but why you would, I don't know, unless it would help you with some degree of disassembly. So a little bit of a wrist flick puts it back in place, and a little bit of wrist flick sends it out. And look at that nice sculpting kind of swale, or whatever you want to call it there, that hump, that depression for your thumb. So when you squeeze it here and here, you pinch it, and you have this ovoid sort of handle. It really fits in the hand quite nicely, and what we would have to call a saber grip, right? It's in line with the forearm. Yeah, you could choke up a little bit more, put your thumb on the back of it. We've got a radiused crowned spine there, and the steel is M390, as you can see in the script font there, and it is number, looks like 149. That's what I mean about the script. Yeah, hard to read. I think we could do without that, I think we really could. Go to, I know it seems more luxurious to have a script font, but I think we could read it better, and it really wouldn't hurt the looks of the knife, Richard, to use a different font. And that's been said by a number of other reviewers. The clip, I'm criticized in the past if I missed talking about the clip, so I'm going to talk about the clip. Pretty much deep carry, with the exception of that little, what would you call it? Yeah, it is a glass breaker. Yeah. So there is a tiny little ceramic ball in the end there. Why you'd carry this and break glass with it, I don't know, but it could be a useful blade. And you're seeing it right there. We have a hand-rubbed brushed satin longitudinal right there. And quite sharp. We'll see if we can test the sharpness before we go. I've been kind of in a quandary as to whether to measure blades or not, since this is a newer one and I don't have a spec card that came with it. I'm going to measure it, and we'll get it done quickly for those that don't want me to bother. It's 8¼ inches. If you don't include the glass breaker, it's 8½ if you do. So we'll call that 8½ overall. We have a blade, if you use the edge for the measure, of 3¾ If you go to the pivot there, it's like 3.6, 3.65. I'm going to call it a 3¾ inch blade because we do have a cutting edge that long, and we got so much other stuff going on that could interfere with a measurement potentially. Handle in inches, 0.54. Blade, if I can, that's going to be interesting. Okay, I think we can get some blade stock here. Yeah, there you go. Easy to figure out. Get that right there. 0.15. Switching to metric, of course, because the people that did want me to measure want metric. 4 millimeters, we're going to call that. And 14 millimeters handle thickness. Finally, all kinds of stuff following the scale out. And And we're in ounces. Let's go to grams. Okay, grams. We've got 129.64. Ounces, 4.57. There you go. Done with the measurements. But, you know, I'll do some compares, even with some more pedestrian sort of knives before we leave. But yeah, what you'd be carrying around there in your pocket, about 450 less 10% discount if you use OG-Blade. So that would carve 45 bucks off of that. So you'd be closer to 400, but then you'd still have a $400 knife. I'm not saying that's good or that's bad. Everybody wants to know, is it good or is it bad? But I got another interesting Grail knife from Rike. This is the SO5. That's all they call it, the SO5. Same overall length, but look at this blade. That is what we call Mosaic Damascus. And there have been some people who are experts, even though they've never had the knife in the hand, who in the past, when I first reviewed this, said, oh, that's etched in. That's not real Damascus. No, folks, it's real Damascus. It is a very, very interesting process they use to put those Chinese characters and all those lines and kind of rectangular sections in there. Yeah, it actually is a highly controlled method of making a patterned Damascus. It is crazy. It has got Mokutai, I believe it's Mokutai, pivot on both sides. Yeah, that's just anodized. And we got a Mokutai clip and a backspacer. And we've got brass, I think, on either side of that backspacer. Hidden lanyard. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy details going on with that one. The SO5 by Rike. Believe me, they are known for their fancy, highly sophisticated engineering and execution. This, of course, if you're familiar with Rike knives, is the lamella. This is the V1 lamella. That's an 20 CV. So we've got M390, Mosaic Damascus, stainless, I believe, and the lamella in 20 CV. This got a lot of attention when it came out because you can remove this. It's sort of a integral back cover that comes off in order to get to the pivot and to disassemble the knife. And there is a little switch up in there that you have to get at with a tool, and you slide it. It's on a spring that releases the cover. They've come out with an easier breakdown version, the V2, and other titanium cover options, different colors and so forth. But beautiful Persian knife, nice jimping on the back there. No jimping here, by the way. Well, if you want to call the that thumb release opener, want to call that jimping, you can, but it's more of a design that falls in with that chevron design and the Rike logo there on the spine. Finally, no, not finally, we got two more Rikes to show you. The 1902, really a popular knife. M390 on this one. And running out of room already. This has a really interesting shred carbon fiber, black and red, and they also come in a black and a blue, I think, or a green, maybe all three. Got the gold colored pivots. We've got kind of a blue anode pivot there with the logo on it. And see, at this stage of the game, this is an older knife, maybe 8-10 years old, I don't know. They weren't doing any lettering on the handle, and I think it looks a little better. The only thing we could lament about is that there is no inserts on the clip side. Could have put something up in there, but probably would have raised the price of the knife. And you can get these for under 200, I think. They came out with the S version, okay, the 1902S, which is a smaller version. Finally, an oldie but goodie, the Rike M2. Look at this beast. This was described by Terrell Todd as being kind of a spaceship-oriented knife. And again, this is an old design. That's S35VN. It's before they moved to M390, I think. Just look at the detail going on there. And we've got the double lock going on. All kinds of stuff. Crazy, crazy, crazy knife. Yeah, so that's my higher end selection of Rike knives. Of course, if you go to Microtech, their SOCOM Bravo, which caused a big stir because it was made in China. Also, an example of an exquisite, elaborate detail on a knife, and on a Microtech, no less. So, not sure you can still get the full-size versions of those, but they are making the minis in those, which aren't really mini. They didn't bring it down too much. It was close to 4 inches originally, and I think came down to 3.5 on the so-called mini. Yeah, some safe queens here. Don't get much carry. This one, we're talking about drop shut, is crazy drop shut, the 1902. I think the same on the lamella. The lamella, by the way, is a hidden liner lock. That's also very drop shutty on bearings. And likewise is that drops before you even want it to. I mean, I haven't tried tightening that up at all. This is mine. Look what they did with the blade. They centered it, and it's actually it's just a teeny tiny bit off. Look at how this comes around and meets this blade. Probably try seeing if I can, maybe by giving that just a quick turn, a little tiny turn, that'll center that blade. And it's not far off, You got to be picky in order to say that that's not centered, but apparently it isn't. Another look around, and I'm going to take my crib notes here and use them for cutting. And man, yeah, it's a sharp one. Okay, it is sharp, and with this high-end kind of a knife, you want to throw it on your work sharp. Yeah, fine, go ahead. Some people that are quite good at hand sharpening and wouldn't need to clamp anything on the blade, although I'm sure you could if you without any damage to it. When you get up into this echelon, some people simply throw it in their pocket and carry it, and other people say, nope. I would cringe if I dropped it, etc., etc. But hey, if you got money to throw around and you want to carry it, that's cool. I was talking about the clip, and I didn't mention that you can swing it over to the left side. You lefties are in luck. You loosen this little guy here with what, I don't know, probably with some padded pliers. Loosen it up enough that this thing swings over, and then you've got it on the other side because, yeah, near as I can tell, it's straight. If it weren't straight, you wouldn't be able to swing it over. It would curve the wrong direction. But it's straight, and it should go straight out to the handle on this side. Actually, haven't carried it because I've got to return it. Want to make sure it's in pristine condition so it can get sold to some other unsuspecting buyer. No. Hey, that is the Rike, and that is the Predator. I may not have at the beginning even mentioned that that's the Predator, but hey, you saw it in the thumbnail and the description and so forth. Hope you enjoyed this review. click my logo that's appearing right about now, and you'll be able to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Be well, take care, stay safe.